Welcome to the Nerf Report. Welcome back to the Nerf Report. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. No, I'm filming my show for the YouTube. Stop being salty.
The ghost of Macho Man Randy Savage is here.
And in the history of the Nerf Report, with all of the videos we've ever made, this one is definitely going to be our jump the shark moment. Hey, welcome back to the Nerf Report. My name is Bryant. We have a fantastic show lined up for you this week. Atari reveals that Yars Recharged is coming to Google Stadia. Is Xbox still committed to cloud gaming? Well, that's the question on all of our minds following a new statement from Xbox. Unity CEO starts a massive dumpster fire by calling developers effing idiots. And finally, we are joined by Half Past Yellow, the developer behind the brand new game Time on Frog Island. All of this and much, much more on this week's episode of the Nerf Report.
Are you listening?
All right, welcome back to the Nerf Report, folks. We got a 5-pager this week, so please buckle up. We got some great stories to dive into. Up first, let's talk about Xbox Cloud Gaming, who made some waves this week when GameIndustry.biz ran an article with Samsung and Microsoft, which was promoting Samsung's brand new gaming hub. You might remember that Samsung's gaming hub is the new feature for their 2022 TVs that allow you to stream games directly to a Samsung television without needing a brand new Xbox or any hardware. Well, people are upset about some comments made in this article, and it primarily seems like it's coming from the title, which says Xbox Cloud Gaming is a great alternative to consoles, not a replacement. And following this article, I've seen a lot of talk of people being like, well, Xbox isn't committed to cloud gaming. Xbox clearly has one foot in, one foot out. You can't take them serious. And I think that in today's world, to say that Xbox is not committed to cloud gaming might be the biggest joke of 2022. I mean, the company has spent so much money on making this thing possible, and to say they're not committed, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. But more importantly, if you actually went past the headline and read the article to the quote in question, it actually doesn't sound like the title at all. Xbox Game Pass manager Pav Bardwa said some people are always going to love playing on consoles, having a console in their living room to download and have that experience. I love consoles. This is just another route, another option to open up gaming to other people. It's not that one is detriment to the other. This is more a rising tide, and it's a really good place to be in to offer all these different opportunities. There's still PC, and there will be new form factors to come out in the future. Consoles are beloved, and cloud gaming is a great alternative. And look, this is just my take here. I don't work for Xbox. We're not sponsored by Microsoft, but none of this really surprises me. I mean, as good as cloud gaming is, we're still in the infancy. And as much as Xbox is currently supporting cloud, it still isn't reliable enough for every gamer in the world to just jump in with both feet. So while yes, I own an Xbox Series X, and 90% of the games that I play on there are via the cloud, just streaming to that console, for another gamer out there, that solution does not work, and they want to download the game to get the best experience possible. This is why we have services like Netflix where you can watch movies, but you go to a store and they still have Blu-ray DVDs where you can actually buy the movie. There are people who want to buy that experience to have the best quality possible. Gaming isn't going to be any different. I will say this though, we've been filming this Star Wars podcast called Scruffy Nerf Herders. We're on Clonecast right now, and following last week's episode, we all jumped on to Xbox Cloud Gaming to play Battlefront 2 on the console. Really great experience. And Xbox, I think, flipped a switch or something because that game running on xCloud was really good. We were able to play multiple matches, never had any desync issues. It was really fun to play, and highly recommend that you check that out. Anyway, to answer the question that I've seen a lot of people ask this week, is Xbox still committed to cloud gaming? Obviously, the answer to that is yes. And I would even go further to say if the conditions were right and the market was ideal at the point, Xbox would be pushing Xbox Cloud Gaming even more than they currently are right now. All right, moving on to our next story. Atari has revealed a brand new game coming to Google Stadia. If you haven't been following the news, Google Stadia has been having a crazy month so far for July. Earlier in the month, they announced that they would be expanding to Mexico. We found out that Saints Row would be coming to the platform. Stadia released 3 new games this week: Valiant Hearts, DC League of Super Pets, and Time on Frog Island. Plus, Outcasters, easily one of the best games on the platform. Fight me. went free to play. Huge news for the platform. If you haven't tried that out on Stadia, please give it a try. It's one of the best games on the platform. But the other big news was that Atari introduced a new title that they claim was 40 years in the making. Yars Recharged is a modern day retelling of the 1982 cult classic Yars Revenge. And according to Atari, this game will infuse elements of arcade, shoot 'em up, and bullet hell into the classic formula. Yars Recharged requires players to remain acutely aware of visual and audio cues that hint on a pending danger and to master rhythm of each boss as they navigate increasingly complex enemy defenses. Now, initially, Atari did reveal that this game would be coming to PC and all major platforms, but then they clarified on Twitter by posting a tweet that said, "Don't worry, Google Stadia fans, Yars Recharged will make its way to Google consoles, and luckily we won't have to wait much longer as Yars Recharged will be launching later this year for PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, Google Stadia, and the Atari VCS." All right, let's talk about the dumpster fire that got started by Unity's CEO this week. If you haven't heard the news yet, Unity's CEO, John Riccitiello, was in the news as during an interview with PocketGamer.biz, the topic of monetization in mobile games was brought up. And in regards to the pure anti-microtransaction developers out there, Riccitiello said, "It's a very small portion of the gaming industry that works that way, and some of these people are my favorite people in the world to fight with. They're the most beautiful and pure, brilliant people. They're also some of the biggest fucking idiots." And to say that that comment didn't go over well would be an understatement. I mean, the responses from developers has been biblical. Megan Fox, and no, we're not talking about the blood-drinking transformer Megan Fox. Megan Fox, the founder of Glass Bottom Games, wrote, "Can't really do anything about current and in-process games, but if I were forecasting for my next launch and still considering Unity, oof. That's a sea of red flags at this point." Tomas Sala, the creator of the Falconeer, tweeted, "Free-to-play monetization and the like can only ever deliver fast food. I like fast food, but I know it cannot sustain me, and a world consisting of only fast food is a world devoid of meaning, beauty, and humanity growing beyond childhood. I don't think I'm the idiot here." And the developers at High Tea Frog tweeted, "Is it better to develop a game with a focus on making as much money as possible? Maybe we could be richer, but it feels wrong. Our full effort goes into making the best games we can, deciding near the end of development on a price we both agree is fair. We believe that money can only do so much to make you happy. Once you have enough to not worry about it anymore, you can hoard it like smog, buy more useless things to show off with, or give it to people who need it to make them happy. The reason we make games is to bring fun and good experiences into people's lives. Your time will always be more precious than your money, and we're so grateful if you choose to spend some time on the things we made. Thank you." Now, in the defense of Unity's CEO, Unity did issue a statement to GameDevelopers.com in which they said, "Unity has nothing but support for its creator community. The announcement of our intent to merge with Iron Source supports our vision in offering the right tools and services that help them build and scale robust businesses successfully." Unfortunately, some of the conversation with Pocket Gamer was taken out of context. I don't know, man. When I tell someone that they're a fucking idiot, usually the context is pretty clear. All right, and then we have to talk about Nintendo. That's right, Nintendo is getting into the movie business. Nintendo announced this week the acquisition of Dynamo Pictures, who has worked on movies and shows like Ghost in the Shell and Aya and the Witch. Now, Nintendo will be renaming Dynamo Pictures into Nintendo Pictures, and according to their acquisition report, the company will focus on producing visual content for Nintendo IP. And obviously, the big talk around the internet right now is that, hey, we're finally gonna get some Nintendo CG movies, and I, for one, would love to see it. I definitely would love to see Nintendo try to break into the anime space with titles like Metroid, and as a lifelong fan of Star Fox, give me a Star Fox TV show, and I'm all for that. But this news also solidifies the industry trend, where it's just literally just all hands on deck, and everybody is trying to license out their properties for TVs and movies. I mean, we had the Uncharted movie from PlayStation. Netflix has a new Resident Evil show or movie that apparently is just ridiculous. Halo had a TV show on Paramount Plus, and of course, Last of Us has a brand new TV series coming out on HBO. Very exciting move for Nintendo, and honestly, it's kind of like a no-brainer at this point. I mean, any way they can make money, Nintendo's definitely interested. I'm convinced there's literally just someone at Nintendo Corporate who's sitting there every day just money, 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 money. All right, and moving on to our final story, we need to talk about PlayStation Stars. That's right, PlayStation introduced a brand new loyalty program, which according to PlayStation is a program that celebrates you, the player, for being on this ever-growing gaming journey with us. PlayStation Stars will be free to join when it launches later this year. Once you become a member, you will earn rewards by completing a variety of campaigns and activities. All PlayStation Star members will have opportunities to earn loyalty points that can be redeemed in a catalog that may include PlayStation Network wallet funds and select PlayStation Store products. As an additional benefit, PlayStation Plus members enrolled in PlayStation Stars automatically earn points for purchases on the PlayStation Store. And I hope I don't offend anybody by saying this, but it's kind of Sony's MO for the past couple years just to see something that's working in the industry and borrow it. We've already seen the likes of Microsoft, Nintendo, and even Google Play have reward point systems like this for years, but I still think it's pretty cool for Sony. In fact, the one thing that really does interest me are the digital rewards that they're offering. And Sony made it very clear these are not NFTs, but instead digital representations of things that PlayStation fans enjoy, including figurines of iconic characters, as well as cherished devices that tap into Sony's history of innovation. Cool news. Kudos to the PlayStation fan base. Can't wait to sign up for PlayStation Stars and just have one more loyalty program I have to pay attention to. And next up, we are joined by a very special guest. This week, a really awesome game launched called Time on Frog Island. We are joined with one of the developers of that game from Half Past Yellow, Max Wright. And Max, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. That's super, super nice.
Yeah, so I've had some time to kind of jump into the game. For someone who's coming to this new and has never seen Time on Frog Island, how do you personally describe it?
It's been described by our artist in the company as a point-and-click adventure, but for people with ADHD. So it's like a platformer. It's got this sort of very nice, open-feeling movement system. You can just run around, you can jump, you can pick up anything. But the type of puzzles and stuff that you see and the kind of gameplay is probably closer to an old-school point-and-click adventure. Like a frog is in your way, they're grumpy about something, you talk to them. They're kind of like, oh, if only I had this, and then you have to like explore the island, find that thing, and so on. So I think that's quite apt. That it has this sort of point and click feel, but it's also like a little bit of a platformer. It's got platformer elements. So I would say it's a puzzle adventure.
It's funny you mention this because I suffer from ADHD, and literally while I was playing this game, I'm like, why am I so hooked? I'm like, I'm into this game. It's like there's always something pop up, and the one thing that I would throw onto what you mentioned was like an escape room. It was very escape room vibes where it's like, okay, I found this, I give this to this, and then it opens up this whole new realm. Very clever on your guys' end. From a creation standpoint, that seems like there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, did you have clues connected with strings on a board to kind of figure out how the game would work, or what's that process?
Not quite. I mean, we did. The game is kind of inspired by like a lot of kind of older school games. The platforming isn't quite as tight and precise as like hardcore Mario games, but we're inspired by those games. The trading sort of comes from the trading quest you see in like Legend of Zelda games, specifically like the big Goron sword quest in Ocarina of Time. Just this idea of like finding this saw and then finding a carpenter sleeping next to or like who needs to build a bridge, and then you give it to them, and then they give you something else, and you have to find the person who needs that. So we wanted to kind of kick that up to 11 and have this like spaghetti network of these different trades. So it's not just one line, it's like multiple crisscrossing ones. You don't know quite always which ones are linked to other ones. So no, it wasn't quite like pins and strings on a board, but it was a little bit tough to keep track of everything, and we also have like little hidden alternative solutions to a lot of the puzzles and these types of things. So it did get out of hand pretty quickly. There was a lot of whiteboard drawing and stuff like that. For sure.
I got to assume with that process, there's probably a lot of stuff that never saw the light of day either.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there always is for every game. Like, there's a lot of things that we really wanted to add into the game. I mean, we think that what we've managed to do with the island and make as many things like interactable and pick upable as possible, we think we've achieved a really good level, but we also just had ideas for quite a few more little things, like this thing you can pick up, or this thing that's affected by the time of day, or this puzzle that could have worked in this way. But eventually, as you get closer to the end of development, there's always things that end up being cut.
Yeah, I mean, for a game like this, I think the thing I was also taken away by, and I don't know if this was intentional, but it's the complexity. Because to your point, I didn't expect that a sunflower would look different at nighttime versus in the rain, or if I pick up an ice cube in the snow and I bring it back to the other climate, it melts. I mean, those are the cool little details. I mean, was that intentional on your guys' end to add that type of stuff?
It's one of the things that we didn't quite get to explore as much as we wanted, but just this idea of being able to any item that is required for a key quest, we wanted to have as many ways to sort of unlock that item or stumble into that item as possible. This idea of almost like failing forwards is super nice in the game, because the game is about exploration, it's about experimentation, it's about play. So if it isn't raining, so these little rain flowers haven't spawned, because you want, like, one of the characters wants a rainflower, it's kind of fun to be running around with the sunflower, maybe trip and fall, it lands in the water, and then it just pops into this other thing, and you're kind of like, good job, me. So we tried to add in as many of those little interactions as possible. So we try to make things work the way we hope players kind of think they will, but also have like maybe a little bit of play and a little bit of surprise in there as well.
Yeah, stumble forward is kind of a perfect way to describe my experience, because I like to think that I'm intelligent, but I mean, there's a couple parts I'm just like, what do I gotta do here? And then it just popped up and it was there. From a development perspective, why frogs?
We don't actually have an answer. So it seems like there are just a ton of frog games right now, and frogs are so hot on the internet. Maybe they always have been. But we actually did zero market research for frogs. We had the character design. We knew what the sailor was going to sort of like look like and feel like. That was one of the first things we made in the game. And we knew we wanted the islanders to be very different. Like, we knew we wanted to go with anthropomorphic animals or something like that. Not only for the cuteness factor, but also like mechanically, gameplay wise, you wash up on an island, you don't understand everything each islander says, there's miscommunication, it's part of the game. So for the frogs, they sort of came up just through concepting. Our artist, once Casper moved on from drawing pictures of the sailor, it started to be, what could the islanders look like, or what could the island look like? And we have this really nice, one of the first concept drawings with another character in it is just the carpenter frog, the one that cuts the trees, just sitting next to a tree eating a sandwich, and the sailor is kind of sitting next to them. And as soon as we saw that concept drawing, it sort of clicks, like, okay, is it animals and lots of different ones like Animal Crossing, or is it just all frogs? And then that was a production decision where having it be all frogs made it easier to develop more characters, keep the rigs semi the same, keep the animation semi the same, this type of stuff.
Well, as a fan of Slippy in Star Fox, I definitely appreciated the use of frogs in this game. And how long were you guys working on this title for?
Not quite 2.5 years, like 2 years and 4 months. Yeah, basically it was, I think, somewhere between March and April 2020 we started, yes.
Now, through that whole process, is there one moment that kind of stands out from the others of being like, I don't know if we're going to be able to complete this game? I mean, were there some challenging moments?
The most worrying moment was actually the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021. We'd finished the sort of vertical slice of the game, and we were shopping it around to publishers. And we have released one other title. It was like a mobile game called Tiny Toon. But like, we're still a kind of semi-unproven team, and it's obviously a big risk for a publisher to take on, because we're looking for development funding, and they need to kind of have that all in mind. The game's not done, all these types of things. So we got a lot of replies just saying like, wow, the game looks really cool, but keep in touch. Like 2 or 3 months down the line, maybe we can talk more. But the thing is, we didn't have 2 or 3 months really as a company. And we were lucky enough to kind of take the conversation a little bit further with 1 or 2 publishers, and ultimately Merge Games, who we partnered with, were willing to take the risk like with us, and they could see the potential of the game. And like, signing that deal was really, really kind of what allowed us to kind of finish the game and keep going in that way.
And I apologize for not knowing this, and maybe you could kind of fill me in. Does the publisher decide which platforms you're going to, or is it more your decision on what platforms you go to?
Ultimately, it's a joint decision from a point of view of while you're negotiating contracts and stuff like that, that's just part of the conversation. For Merge, it's really important to make the biggest splash on release. So from their point of view, they wanted to do physical and digital, and also kind of all platforms, home consoles and PC. So that was kind of what they came to us with deal-wise. They were kind of like, okay, we like the game, we think the budget's doable, this type of thing, but it's important for us that these things can be done. Do you think, that's possible? We'll be working with a porting team, we'll be doing this, we'll be doing that. And that's kind of where that decision came from. Ultimately, if we went to a different publisher and they were less focused on that, they were much more focused on, say, PC only, then it would be a different conversation.
And I think it's important to note that, Time on Frog Island is pretty much available almost anywhere. You got PC, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and Google Stadia. So you're even bringing in that cloud environment as well. With Half Past Yellow, how many people internally work within that studio?
When we started the game, we were 4, just the co-founders really. And then after we got the deal with the publisher, we could expand the team slightly and actually hire. We were contracting an audio sound designer, but we sort of hired them and all this type of stuff. So now we're 8, and over the course of the game, we also had a freelance animator come in and help us. So there's somewhere between maybe 9 and 10 hands that have touched the game at various points.
That's very impressive. I mean, when I was playing this title, I would have thought there would have been maybe 50 to 100 people working on this. So I think that's just a testament to what you guys have done at your studio. So kudos to you.
Thanks a lot. Obviously from the marketing and standpoint, we've had key art made and all these types of things. So the number does exponentially kind of increase, and we've had testers and things. But yeah, that's super nice for you to say.
You mentioned a sound designer. Are they the ones that's responsible for the catchy launch trailer tune that's now stuck in my head?
Not specifically the sound designer, no, but we're probably a little bit strange as far as indie companies go, because we're a team of 8 people, and actually we have a full audio team. So we have a sound designer full-time, and we also have a composer full-time. So both the sound designer and the composer kind of work together to obviously create the entire soundscape. But our composer comes from a pop background. So when we decided to do this trailer with the sort of original track and the lyrics and all this type of stuff, it was kind of hitting the ground running. The trailer editor actually helped with the first draft of the lyrics. It was actually our trailer editor that came to us saying I think this could be a cool song, and wrote a draft of the lyrics, and then we edited together and sort of built this thing. It was a very collaborative effort. And then Nino, our composer, did a fantastic job with the actual track, the music. That's what makes it catchy. That's what pops it, keeps it kind of coming back in your head.
Yeah, it's very, very catchy. After I saw the launch trailer, I was having lunch that day and I was making a PB&J sandwich. And I'm just they hop and top, and it's just I was oh, it's stuck in my head.
We really, really are happy with the launch trailer. I think it's gone really well, and the specifically Nino and James, who made the trailer, the freelance trailer editor, they did a fantastic job together.
The other question I always ask developers who just launched their games is, I'm fascinated by launch dates. So the game, you've been working on it for 2 years almost, and here's the day. You send it out to thousands, 100,000s of people to play. Are you avoiding the internet completely? Are you hanging out in forums? Walk me through launch day for yourself.
It was an interesting one, actually. So I always think it's good to, well, I say always, we've launched a total of 2 games, and one of them is kind of mobile only, so it's a very different launch feel. But one of the things that we did is we have our Discord server, and that has general chats and stuff, and people were very excited. It wasn't, it's not super big yet. I hope it continues to grow. But it's nice to kind of have the casual conversation on launch day before launch. It came out around 2 p.m. Our time, which is Copenhagen time. But it was it was super interesting just to be in the Discord, just to kind of like have a conversation with the fans. And then when it launched, yeah, you do check, for example, Steam to see if you're on new and trending, and if someone puts reviews up, you do kind of want to look at them. Specifically, the embargo date for reviews also like lifted on the same day, so like a lot of sort of articles and things started popping out, and it was nice to go and see those and read those. But I think for the most part, I personally have stayed away. I've been looking at Discord. I've read a few Steam reviews. I've read a couple of articles like Rock Paper Shotgun and PC Gamer. But Remy, our CEO, our tech lead, he's been watching streams of like small streamers, 2-3 viewers and stuff, just to kind of see how they're liking the game, and he's having a really wholesome experience just seeing people enjoy things. I think it's always a stress when you finally like launch your game, because the biggest worry for me is that out of the last 2 years of say tweeting little gifs and doing this and doing that, people have like maybe the slightly wrong idea of what the game is, and then they buy it and play it for 5 minutes and go, what? this is terrible. So that's always been my worry, but when we released the prologue, the demo, and now releasing the game, it's like it almost instantly quells that worry, because people do like the game, and you just kind of get inside your own head.
Now, Max, what made you get into video game development?
Me personally, there wasn't really any one thing. For almost as long as I can remember, I've kind of been interested in playing games, interested in making games, interested in starting my own games company. Like even from being like a young kid, my dad has like game design documents that I drew and wrote, but the thing is, like, they're terrible, not just from a point of view of the games are bad, but also they're not what game design is, and they're not what game development is. So it's also like what game development is to me has also evolved over the years, and it just so happens that as I've changed as a person, kind of what game development means to me and what it really is has also sort of changed. Originally, I was very interested in being some big game designer for Insomniac or something, because I love Ratchet and Clank so much. But as I went through university, I realized that I actually enjoyed, design, programming, maybe doing a little bit of 3D art or rigging if that's necessary. So it made more sense to go into a company where you can wear a lot of hats and be a generalist. So just generally, as I've navigated, it's never changed in a way that I've disliked, what game development is. But I would say there wasn't a moment. It wasn't like I played a game and I was like, man, this is what I want to do. I'm going to chase this dream. It's definitely just something I've always kind of thought was going to be fun, essentially.
What's next for the studio?
The studio, yeah. I mean, we're tracking bugs. The interesting thing about releasing a game is just that, we did maybe 6 months or more of QA, and okay, there are a couple of bugs that we had like seen, but then were hard to replicate. But then as soon as you give your game to thousands of people, all of a sudden, you have a lot more test cases, and these edge cases come up more than you thought they would. So actually, we've got quite a few bugs in our backlog that now we have more information on from players who come to our Discord. So we'll be fixing a few of those, or all of those, hopefully. Making a couple of small gameplay things that we've noticed, like just changes. But our plan for game development, our plan for the studio, is to very much make these crafted experiences, and at least initially it'll be about moving on, and we already have an idea for another game that we're sort of starting to prototype. When this game kind of the next game sort of goes further through development, or after it's released, maybe it's time to revisit, take another look at what Time on Frog Island is, and do people like it, and do we do a sequel, do we do updates? But just as a studio, we're much more interested in like single player linear experiences, rather than these kind of games as a service and stuff like that.
If I had a magic checkbook that I could get you guys any IP in the world, what would it be?
I really don't know. It would probably end up being some. I know our sound designer Goran. He's always referencing like a lot of '80s action movies, or like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, or an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And I feel like if we were to have like this unlimited income, it would be something like that. It would be like, oh yeah, let's make this almost like IP licensed Broforce or something. I don't know, because if you've got the unlimited checkbook, might as well get them all.
So many times when I ask that question, the first one that comes out, everybody always says Star Wars. I want Star Wars. So to hear like 80s Jean-Claude Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean, I would jump into that game very quickly. I mean, that'd be a fun experience.
I think if you haven't played Broforce already, you should check it out.
For you personally, I know we talked a little bit about like Ocarina of Time and a few other titles. Do you have any favorite video games?
My favorite video games are generally the ones that scare me so much about how good they are that I never really want to explore that genre. Because then you're going to be compared to these greats. I grew up with, like I said, Ratchet and Clank and these Insomniac kind of platformer games, Spyro, and I still enjoy their games, like the latest Spider-Man and stuff. I love Legend of Zelda, and that is also true for Breath of the Wild. But in terms of the games that I think impacted me the most, especially recently, I think some of my favorite games are the Return of the Obra Dinn. The Lucas Pope game is truly fantastic. It's one of the best like detective puzzle mental solving style of games I've ever played. And also similar vein, Outer Wilds, similar idea, just the time loop solar system game where you're kind of like unlocking this little puzzle. They're just unbelievable. Like the craftsmanship that's gone into them, and the fact that they are also made by small teams, it truly just blows me away, because I'm just thinking about how difficult it is to not just build the systems, but then from a design point of view, have all these threads come together.
Outside of Time on Frog Island, are there any games out there that have you excited? Like, oh, I can't wait to jump into this, or I can't wait to play it?
Well, actually, so on Tuesday I'll probably play Stray when that comes out. I'm excited to play that. I hope that I've been seeing little GIFs and stuff of this game, and the announcement trailer came out years ago, and it just looks like an interesting little game. I'm excited to play that. Big AAA is Breath of the Wild 2. You can't not be excited about that, and I'm very excited for Hollow Knight Silksong. It's another one of my favorite games, and I think millions upon millions of people are excited for that.
Well, Max, I appreciate you coming on the game, and once again, congratulations on the launch of Time on Frog Island. If anybody watching this wants to find out more about Half Past Yellow, about the game, where should they go?
You can come to our Discord. I don't know if I can give you a link, I guess, to put in the...
Yeah, we'll put it in the description, yeah.
Yeah, no, I would say Twitter and our Discord is the best way to stay up to date.
Well, thank you again for coming on the show, and thank you to everyone for watching this. Until next time, my name is Bryant. This has been the Nerf Report, and we will see you in the next video. Hey, thanks again for checking out our channel. If you like what you saw and you want to see more content just like it, which who wouldn't, hit the subscribe button right there. And while you're down there, hit the like button. Maybe even consider becoming a Nerf Report best friend, just like the people listed down below did. In fact, don't you want to see your name there? I know I do.